Identifying the modern-day locations of H.J. King's early 1900s images was often like finding a needle in a haystack. For example, this photograph could have been taken anywhere in northern Tasmania. Fortunately, it had been reproduced back in 1986 by Mac Woodruff and published in his Tasmanian Revisited book. Mac had located the bridge to the small Upper Mersey Valley township of Mole Creek. He made note that buildings not present in the original now surrounded the bridge. I still had my doubts that this was indeed the correct bridge. But without any other clues to go by, I locked the GPS coordinates into my project planner. There's a twist to this tale. Let's begin. Well, I've made it today down to Mole Creek. This is the new Mole Creek Bridge, and I have a couple of absolutely, I think quite quaint photographs. The first one is just a basic pic of the bridge, pretty much well taken from this angle. The second photo we have is Lucy on the bridge, looking down at one of the wagon drovers with his cattle. I walked out onto the bridge and made my way to the approximate spot where Lucy would have stood. I leaned over the rail to gaze down at the riverbed towards the drover watering his cattle. Something was not quite right. The bridge was longer and much higher. So much had changed. In fact, too much had changed. I pressed on regardless. I lined up the image and took my shot. Disturbingly, it still didn't feel 100% right. The bridge abutments were totally different. The silhouette of the distant mountain range simply did not look the same. The day was racing by and I needed to move on. Whilst preparing to edit this video, I received a YouTube comment from Rod Howe that would change everything. Turns out the Mole Creek Bridge that Mac Woodruff photographed in 1986 was not the same bridge that Herb shot back in the 1920s. Herb's Mole Creek Bridge is located 3.5 kilometres upstream on Scotts Road. How could I produce my story without the modern footage of the original Mole Creek Bridge? Thankfully, help was at hand. Rod Howe grew up near Mole Creek, and as luck would have it, he is an experienced drone pilot and photographer. He offered to venture out with his drone and camera to take the reproduction images for me. In the first image, we see Lucy standing on the bridge. In Rod's image, the stonework patterns on the bridge abutment line up nicely. Rod needed to take his drone up over the trees to capture the skyline ridge of the central plateau that aligns perfectly with the original. Proof we had finally found the original Mole Creek Bridge. Additional proof can be found in the second image. Lucy looks down upon the drover watering his cattle in the riverbed below. In Rod's image, the height and span of the bridge are the same as seen in the original. Herb's final image is the most powerful and historically poignant. Under the watchful eye of their drover, a bullock team pulls a cart loaded with 2 massive logs across the Mole Creek Bridge. A second bullock team in the distance pulls a cart with 2 even larger logs. The western bluff is visible in the background. Much of the forest on the surrounding hills has been cleared. A tree stump remains charred after a recent fire. Today, the classic bullock teams are long gone, and we are left with a peaceful image of a rural Tasmanian country road. But if you listen very carefully, their ghosts still remain.